Hello everyone, and welcome to this short demo on demand. My name is Michael Pay, I'm the CTO at Concept Searching, and today we're going to be taking a look at the core technology at the heart of Concept Searching's auto-classification platform, ConceptClassifier. Concept Searching solutions can be used to process documents stored in a number of different repositories, from OpenText Content Server to SharePoint Online, all the way through to structured content residing in a SQL Server or Oracle database. Though, being a Microsoft partner, our strongest integration is with SharePoint, for which we provide a tightly knit auto-classification solution designed to consistently tag content and maintain GUIDs across all environments. Today we will be focusing on the core technology behind our auto-classification engine, discussing the currently supported content repositories and how the engine can agnostically tag content to assist with business processes. One of the problems we tend to find with managing content is that upper management in organisations doesn't always fully understand the financial repercussions of poor metadata or poor document organisation. In one of our recent surveys, we found that 93% of organisations want to improve search and are working on content lifecycle management, yet 91% are using manual tagging techniques, with a number of issues as illustrated by this diagram. The first major issue is inconsistency, perhaps due to business alignments changing over time, or perhaps due to the subjective nature of tagging. By this I mean, a user in HR is likely to choose vastly different tags to a user in the technical department through no fault of their own. A second major issue is expense. The process of manually tagging documents takes an incredibly long time. And finally, malicious compliance. And by this I mean the fact that the end user may simply select the first option from a drop-down list, or leave it as the default value, given that there's no perceived value on their part. And so this is where ConceptClassifier enters the picture. ConceptClassifier agnostically categorizes and automatically tags content across all of our supported content repositories using its unique compound term processing. On the administration side, the platform includes advanced taxonomy management tools to enable quick, iterative taxonomy development by content owners. And the management tools natively integrate with the SharePoint term store to ensure that the SharePoint dataset always remains the master copy. The architecture of the platform is such that it can be scaled out horizontally to cope with increased load, and also configured in a highly available manner to support redundancy. And our software supports anything from Server 2008 R2 just to ensure adequate .NET framework support. The core functionality of ConceptClassifier can be broken down into four key stages. The first stage is the document preparation stage, which focuses on extracting the largest amount of data possible from the document, with the simple logic that the more data we have to work with, the more accurate our auto-classification can be. The second stage takes the data, creating a statistical analysis of the document to extract the natural language. We can then use natural language processing techniques to separate the relevant compound terms, detect the language of the document, and finally, perform entity extraction. The last stages then agnostically take the past data and categorize the document using our statistical rule-based engine to ensure a consistent classification matrix. The classifications can then be ranked and applied to the documents to benefit the source systems. We'll now take a look at the administration interface to see exactly how easily sources can be configured for auto-classification and then how these auto-classifications can be used. Here we have our main administration interface, where we can see the sources and all repositories that are currently being crawled by the ConceptClassifier application. We have a number of file sources, as well as some SharePoint Online sources that are contained within a group. And by clicking Add Source, what we can demonstrate is all of the different repositories that are currently supported. So we have our SharePoint or SharePoint Online sources, websites, we have our Windows file shares or Samba shares, as well as the SQL databases that I mentioned earlier, Content Server, Box, and our Exchange data, whether that be an Exchange mailbox or all of the mailboxes within a particular Exchange server. And what I'm going to demonstrate today is how to add a folder. It's a very quick task, and we'll see quite how easy it is to queue up a repository for auto-classification. So, by clicking on this, I bring up a very simple form. I can choose to paste in my URL, and then I can choose to specify alternate credentials as well as a number of other options, but in this case we'll leave those as default. And I simply click Index Folder. And what that's going to do is queue that folder for enumeration, collection, indexing, and auto-classification by the core services, and I can then analyze that document based on the classifications that are applied. So now let's take a look at how we actually apply those auto-classifications. As I mentioned earlier, our auto-classification engine is a rule-based system, and here we have some of the rules that we're using to auto-classify content. And in this case, with this particular term, all of the rules that we're using are based on natural language, including compound terms and single words. And depending on how relevant a particular word or phrase is to identifying whether that document is about a particular subject, we have a higher score or a lower score. But we don't have to use just natural vocabulary. We have a number of different options, including metadata rules, regular expressions, case-sensitive matching, as well as a number of others, so that we can absolutely align our taxonomy to our business needs. But the ultimate goal through all of this and all of the rules that we apply is getting that segmented set of data so that we can then analyze it. And the browse interface allows us to see what content is being tagged against a particular source. The important thing about Taxonomy Manager is that it's designed to be used by knowledge owners, not just IT professionals. The point of this administration interface is to make it easy for a knowledge user to see why their content is being tagged against a particular term, and we have a number of ways that we can do this. One of the ways is utilising this checkbox that we see over here, Show Document Movements. By ticking this, what's going to happen is an on-the-fly classification is going to occur in the background and identify to us whether, based on whether or not we've changed the rules, the scores will change for these documents. So we might have added some natural language to identify this document, or we may have removed some natural language from the rules. In this case, because we haven't changed any rules, we would see, obviously, that the scores have not changed, and this is completely expected behaviour. But what we might then want to do is say, well, okay, the rules that I've changed, or in this case haven't changed, haven't affected the score, so why is this document being tagged in this way? So another technique that we have at our disposal is the calculations link. By clicking this, we do another on-the-fly auto-classification, but this time we get a really granular look at why this document is being tagged in the way that it is. So we find the compound terms and we find the individual words that have been identified in this document, and thus are causing it to be auto-classified. And as the knowledge owner, I can then take the judgment call as to whether I should remove certain natural language, or perhaps reduce the score of some of my pieces of natural language, or whether I should just leave this because this document absolutely should be being tagged in this way. The last technique I'm going to look at in Taxonomy Manager is very quickly the near misses functionality. This is something the Concept Classifier engine does under the hood as it's processing the documents. It identifies to the administration interface not only the documents that have been tagged, but the documents that are close to being tagged but haven't quite been tagged. And this really very easily allows an end user to find the edge cases within their classification sets so that they can ensure, particularly in data protection cases, that there's no content that's being missed. We can very easily analyse that our classification rules aren't excluding content that they shouldn't be. So the browse interface is just one of the ways that we can view the segmented sets of data that the auto-classifications give us. We also have a lot of different options at our disposal. We have the reporting interface within the administration suite. We have a number of APIs that allow us to extract exactly which documents are being tagged in a certain way. And this is particularly relevant through our search APIs. And the last way, for those IT users that want to be able to customize their own reporting at a very granular level, all of the auto-classifications are available in the SQL Server to allow you to generate your own custom reporting if needs be. To summarize, organizations, primarily at the upper management level, tend to overlook the high cost of not managing content. Using Concept Classifier, we can provide comprehensive solutions to consistently auto-classify content, eliminate end-user tagging, and benefit a number of internal business processes, including records management, migration, data protection, vulnerability analysis, and many, many more. That brings us to the end of this demo on demand. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to get any more information on this or more application-specific functionality, please visit our website at www.conceptsearching.com.